Well, our old friends, the Sectarians, it seems, have come out in force this evening. Ethan Valik, backed up by most of Valik's court, the Sectarian ladies, facing the lightning-fast Tony Dangerous with only Mighty Molly to back him up.
Yet again, the non-believers and heretics refuse to learn the lesson.
You refuse to accept the truth of the darkness.
This sick, deluded, so-called superhero, Tony Dangerous, has defied his ransom, and so, as punishment, the heretic will face his battle. And like Patty Powers, who fell before my daughter Tiana, so too shall all your lightning-fast one let this night stand as a warning to you apostates. We are doubling our efforts and have recruited new children into our fold. Defiance is stubborn foolishness. Watch what Valik does as we, his sectarians' court, stand ringside like so many of you before. Tony Dangerous is about to experience the wrath of the sectarians.
Don't believe their lies. We are still growing and still expanding our belief in the darkness. It consumes you, but bind it, because no one can cope with the knowledge all at
They got
once.
new people. That's it. They got Jessica Goldman when she came out of the hospital. That's obviously it. A very distinct possibility, Myron. Nobody's seen hide nor hair of Jessica Goldman since she disappeared.
Accompanied by Mighty Molly from Statinopolis, weighing 196 pounds, the lightning-fast Tony Dangerous.
These nut jobs may be all smoke and mirrors, but one thing's for sure. These people are just crazy enough for it to be damn uncomfortable. And the other thing you can't ignore is they are getting bolder and they're starting to win on a consistent basis.
Yeah, they got all those people at ringside, and that's just not, that's a recipe for disaster. Indeed, Tony Dangerous certainly up against the odds since disrespecting Kaz Manson by defeating him last week. And now the Sectarians have pulled out all the stops, the entire ladies' court, minus the Disciples of Darkness, Drew Draven and Selena Sheik. But nonetheless, you've got a whole bunch of creepy ladies out there. Mr. Valik, no less disturbing than any of his other sectarian cohorts. As this match gets underway, referee Willie Johnson sounds the bell, and here we go. Ethan Valik opens up with a couple of rights on Tony Dangerous, sets up the falling neckbreaker. Tony Dangerous catches the kick before he can stand back up. Valik flips him over. The Gothic Grappler seizing Tony Dangerous into a wheelbarrow suplex, much to the delight of his sectarian court. A very strange batch of ladies, to be sure. Tony Dangerous counters, gets back up on his feet. Off the middle rope, look at this. A wheelbarrow bulldog with a little hang time to it. The lightning fast one. With a hard right to the head of Valik, a set of kicks, a chop across the chest, another kick to the midsection. Valik suddenly getting the upper hand. There's a snap suplex to Tony Dangerous. Valik off the top rope, misses, crashes, and burns. As Mighty Molly stands by watching, Tony Dangerous missing with the rolling elbow. Valik with a drop kick that doesn't fell him. There's a kick, there's another, there's a third. The Gothic Grappler with a snap mare to Tony Dangerous and a flip over neck whip. The Gothic Grappler seems to be working the head and neck area of the lightning fast one. Valik gets a hold of Tony Dangerous, rolls him back inside the ring. Valik moves on in after him. Gathers up the lightning fast one. Tony Dangerous countering with an elbow to Valik. Another bounce off the ropes, a flying crossbody. As only Tony Dangerous can deliver it, double stomp to the midsection of the Gothic Grappler. Tony Dangerous locked up by Valik again. A kick to the gut. Valik winds up the arm. Takes Tony Dangerous for a walk and a Japanese arm drag off the top rope. Very coordinated, Ethan Valik. Here's a cover. One, but only just barely a one. Mighty Molly looking on. Tony Dangerous gathering himself up quite a crew between Mighty Molly and the Hurricane. Ethan Valik laying in the whirligig on Tony Dangerous. Taking him for a spin. There's a stomp to the midsection. A hard kick to the gut. The Gothic Grappler, pacing like a caged animal, makes his way to the top turnbuckle. Tony Dangerous, still laid out, but slowly getting to his feet. Mighty Molly looking very concerned. Here we go, Valik with a Hurricane Rana off the top rope. The Gothic Grappler currently with the upper hand. Tony Dangerous counters, gets back up to a standing position. Valik rolls to the outside. Tony Dangerous going to follow him on out. Gets caught from behind by Valik. Winds up the arm. Look, this is not going to be good. Oh! What a bulldog. On the outside, followed up with a low drop kick to Tony Dangerous. Ethan Valik opening up on the outside, taking full advantage of the referee's count. A moonsault on the outside. Tony Dangerous rounded up again by the Gothic Grappler and bounced off the barricade. Tony Dangerous quickly evading. Ethan Valik gets a hold of the Gothic Grappler and a beautiful inverted Hurricane Rana from Tony Dangerous. Valik catches another set of elbows from the lightning fast one. Tony Dangerous struggling with Ethan Valik on the outside, pitches him towards the ring steps, but does not quite get there. The lightning fast one in over the top rope before Valik taking his leisure in the corner. Perhaps not a wise idea. Tiana disengaging the top left turnbuckle. Tony Dangerous whipped into the far right buckle, and a drop kick from Valik takes down the lightning fast one. Valik off the top rope moonsault, doesn't find the mark, finds only the logo in the center of the ring. Tony Dangerous getting out of the way of that one. Tony with a double leg snap on Ethan Valik. The referee, Willie Johnson, already having corrected the defective turnbuckle. Tony Dangerous going to work on Ethan Valik's center ring, keeping him off his vertical base if he can. He rounds him up to a standing position, and look at this right here. Whoa. Taped off the middle ropes. Tony Dangerous rebounds off, and there's a little bit of a 619 from the lightning fast one. Off the top rope, lets gravity do the work. What a beautiful, beautiful crash right there for Ethan Valik. And here we go. The ladies of the sect reading Tony Dangerous, the riot act. Tiana in particular decidedly animated. Tony Dangerous just basically warding them off. Even Molly Holly becoming very, very concerned. A stomp to the arm of the Gothic Grappler. And those three ladies are their eyes are all on Tony Dangerous. What a frog splash, but doesn't find the mark. Crashes and burns. Valik covers. 1, 2. But no, Tony Dangerous kicking out at about 2. And now Lillith Morella has disengaged the other turnbuckle. These three should not be permitted at ringside in these great numbers. Tony Dangerous laid up against the ropes by Valik. Valik hard whips him to the ropes, slides through the back door, and an inverted Hurricane Rana to Tony Dangerous. Ethan Valik, very fast, makes his way to the top turnbuckle. Tony Dangerous catches a crossbody splash. Here's a pin. 1, 2. But again, no. Tony Dangerous kicking out of yet another pin. Valik off the top rope moonsault, finds the mark that time. And Tony Dangerous rolls to the outside. He certainly caught all of it. The lightning fast one gathered up by Ethan Valik. There's a kick, there's a chop, there's an over, and an uppercut to Tony Dangerous. Valik gets him back inside the ring. Takes a stroll past Mighty Molly. Mighty Molly backing off. Not a good thing to be around Ethan Valik on the outside. Tony Dangerous is still laid out. The referee continuing to count. Valik, who's taking his sweet time about getting back in the ring. Tony Dangerous Motion was finally starting to stir, and Valik finally making his way back inside the ring. Tony Dangerous immediately tags him with a Hurricane Rana. Valik in the far right corner. Tony Dangerous misses with the kick. Valik rebounds off the ropes, and another wheelbarrow bulldog to the lightning fast one. Face first into the canvas. Tony snaps out of it quickly, rebounds out to the outside, comes back on in, and Ethan Valik is taunting him. Valik catches a kick, a chop, another chop. Tony Dangerous has him up over the shoulders in the fireman's carry. And, oh, I don't believe it, he just nailed him with his own move, the Valik driver, the lightning fast one. Sort of taunting Ethan Valik with his own move. Tony takes a walk around the middle rope, and that was beautiful. What a drop kick from the lightning fast one. Referee Willie Johnson correcting yet another defective turnbuckle. Ethan Valik rounds him up for a power slam. Very sudden. Valik staggers back, makes his way to the top turnbuckle. Tony Dangerous laid out center ring, and whoa, that was beautiful. Here's a pin. 1, 2, 3. That is going to do it. Ethan Valik with an upset win over the lightning fast one by pinfall.
Here's the time, 6 minutes and 9 seconds, and your winner, Ethan Valik.
Well, first Tiana picking up a win over Patty Powers at Snarl, and now Ethan Valik with a win over the lightning fast one. And you are not wrong, Christy. The Sectarians are getting bolder, and they are starting to win on a far more consistent basis. And that is extremely disquieting. In any case, ladies and gentlemen, that is our next matchup. And coming up next, more RWL Rage right after the break. Stay with us.